Well, Gary, not the prettiest afternoon of football, but all in all, a massive 3 points for the Seasiders.
It's all that matters, doesn't it? It seems a few weeks since we've done one of these winning interviews. Not for the want of trying, obviously, and I thought we battled really hard today. Like exactly like you've just said, not the prettiest the game was never ever going to be. Coming into it, we knew it was the type of game it was going to be. It's a hot day. It's two teams struggling at the bottom end of the table. It's a dry, bobbly pitch. It's a big pitch. Looks green, but once you're on it, it's not the greatest. So, all the elements were against us a little bit today. Massive pressure on the lads. Half the reason why I sort of played myself today. And I've been in these situations a few times in my career, and I just felt it was probably right that I stepped on the field and lended them my experience a little bit and helped them through. But to a man today, they were fantastic, great character. And all it takes is that we had a chance first half, obviously with Whitby, but all it takes is that one chance, and Gelly goes down the box and Leighton makes no mistake with a penalty kick. So great result. I'm so pleased for the players first and foremost. I'm so pleased for the fans, and like I say, it's a massive 3 point under the circumstances.
Yeah, chances few and far between across the whole 90 minutes, Gary. You mentioned there Woods' chance, but on the whole, it did look a little bit like over 90 minutes. It was two sides just doing everything they could not to lose the game.
I think it was looking that way, and to be fair, we'd have took a point. Going into the last 5 minutes, we've come been on the back end of some harsh defeat. Worksop at home comes to mind in recent times, where you're looking towards the point, but you end up losing the game, and that's how it goes at the bottom end of the table. But we've come out on the other side of that today, and that's through hard work. You make your own luck, as cliched as it is. But like I said, the lads, first and foremost, they grafted for me today, and that's never come in question from them for me. So a massive thanks to them, and like I said, the key for us now is to go into next week and go get the second win in a row, which is obviously what we struggled with, while we find ourselves where we are at the moment. But the confidence we can take from today is hopefully massive.
Yeah, a fantastic penalty from Liddle. It's pretty much exactly what you want to see, high down the centre into the roof of the net.
Yeah, to be fair, I told them a couple of weeks ago. I think it was when we lost Steve and when Nath Thomas is obviously injured at the moment. If we got a penalty, I'd want him to step up, and as long as he didn't dink it, I had to remind him about that today. He's the type of player, he's a bit of a maverick, and he's liable to dink it in the 94th minute there, and I had to tell him not to do that. But no, he made no mistake. No keeper in the world stopping that. In off the underside of the bar, and like I said, elation from myself, elation from the bench, elation from the team, and I'm so thankful we got it.
And obviously that stops a run of 3 straight defeats, Lids. How big is that for the dressing room?
Huge. We've come on, it's happened once or twice this season where we've lost 2 or 3 in a row, and that fourth game I always feels massive, because if you don't stop that rut, it can extend, and we haven't got too many games now before the end of the season, obviously, and we didn't want to get into that pattern. So massive coming into it, and like I said, I wanted to step out today and feel that pressure for myself. I obviously announced my retirement a couple of weeks ago, and it was a bit of a milestone for me. The 800, it was a milestone. It's a bit of a sentimental one. My dad passed away in the just after that, and he was able to see that game. So there was a lot of emotion in that retirement. But coming into it, I just thought there's 4 or 5 games left of the season, and while I'm fit, while I'm healthy, while I'm able to offer my experience, while I've able to offer my experience in playing in these circumstances, I'd be stupid not to be out there, and my dad would say the same for sure.
That was one of the big calls for yourself today going into the game. A number of them obviously an enforced change up front at the time, but a switch to 3 at the back as well. As you mentioned earlier about coming into the game and just not wanting to lose, that obviously been a big part of that change. Yeah,
I think it's a system. I think when I came in as manager at Whitby, I drove the system into the players from the outset, really, just to get us a hold into games, and we obviously came away from that recently and played with a different setup. But just with myself coming into the team more than anything, with having Guinness back, who's still playing through the pain barrier a little bit with his hamstring, I just thought the 3 at the back would definitely suit us, and pushing Smudge and Collar up on either side would certainly help as well. And obviously we played with Leighton and Alfie Doherty up there, we were not out and out strikers, two false nines if you like, but like I said, with everyone else as well as those, they grafted in, and that's all we can do.
You mentioned there Nathan McGinley, obviously back in from injury, playing through a bit of a pain barrier. Michael Wood's potentially not 100%. A couple of players within the squad not 100%, but great to see that sort of commitment that they're still just patching themselves up and getting out there for the greater good.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's the first time I haven't had a goalkeeper on the bench today, and I don't think I've had 5 outfield players on the bench all season, so that was good to see. We'll have to obviously see what the lads who've picked up niggles are like going into next weekend, but the bonus is we've got a full week now where we can assess these guys and give them the rest and the recovery that they need, and hopefully they're good to go next weekend.
Obviously Whitby now 3 points outside the bottom 4 lids, going into a big game at home next weekend against Warrington Rylands. It's so vastly important to back this up now, isn't it?
Massive, and I said earlier in the interview, we've really struggled with those back-to-back victories throughout the season. It's something I want to instill into this team, otherwise you end up where you are, and that's the main reason why we are where we are. We can't back up victories with points, with more points, and that's where we've struggled, and that's what we'll hope to rectify from now to the end of the season. We're back at the tour bar against a good Warrington side, and we'll give it our best shot. We've give ourselves a little bit of a confidence boost today, and that's something we can definitely take into next weekend.
And what's your message for the people of Whitby then, Leeds? 4 games left, obviously 2 of those at home, vitally important to get behind the side now.
Massive, and they will. I feel that support, wherever we go, and I know we don't travel in vast numbers, and the numbers at home, they are what they are, but it's imperative that those people who currently come, and those people who want to come and help us over the line, that they give us that support, and I've got no doubt they'll continue to do that. I feel very privileged to be in the position I am, and I will be giving it my best shot as the players will as well. And like I said, we'll go into next weekend, and we'll hope to back up today with another win.